Okay, with this one, let me write something else with the problem down so you guys see where you're going to be starting. You might also see the problem that looks like this. X squared plus 4x equals 0. And the reason I'm putting it in that context is that when students were working on the classwork yesterday in 6th hour, I had a lot of students look at this and kind of freak because it's not like what we're mostly going to look at today. Most of what we're working with are going to be trinomials, not binomials. And hopefully, from all the things that we've practiced in Chapter 8, you can see how x squared plus 4x can become x times x plus 4. Right? Because I can factor that x out. Now, the zero product property that we just talked about for the first example says that if the two products are 0, then one of the two factors has to be 0. So that means that since I have something times something equaling 0, I can set each of those independently to 0. So this first factor becomes x equals 0. Or, keyword, the second factor has to equal 0. That's terrible. Let's clean that up and try again.
Why? Wait, hang on.
A little more room in there.
What was the problem? X plus 4 and x plus 3?
X and x plus 4 equals 0. So x times x plus 4 is 0, which means, according to the zero product property, which is just a pain to say.
Why is it such a pain?
It's a lot of p's. P's are a tough sound.
It's too big.
Yeah.
P, man.
It is.
Way too much.
Yeah, there you go. Guys, all right. The rule says, because the product is 0, one of the two factors is 0. Now, what's nice is this equation's already solved. X is 0. Or, x plus 4 is 0, so if I subtract 4 from both sides, I'm left with x is equal to negative 4. So that means my final answer is that x is either 0 or negative 4. That's my answer. Now the thing about quadratics, you're always going to get two answers. Now I say always, 90% of the time. Sometimes you're going to get just one answer, and we'll look at some of those examples today. Sometimes you're going to get no answers. We'll look at those Friday. But for the most part, you're looking for two solutions. And we'll talk more about why that is when we get to ones that aren't pre-factored. Now, if you don't believe me that this works, let's do a check. According to the rules for checking algebra, like as we learned over the last 2 years, you take your answers, you plug them in. So that means, let's say x is 0. That means I'm looking at 0 times 0 plus 4. And you're asking, is that 0? Well, 0 times 4 is 0. Checks out. So one of my two solutions works. And now we can check the other solution. Is negative 4 a solution? Well, negative 4 times negative 4 plus 4. Does that equal 0? Let's see. Negative 4 times 0 is 0.
So wait, 0 is
X is either 0 or negative 4. One of those two numbers makes this work.
Do we have to